Hi friends, nearly every founder and the great philosophers have one thing in common. They all think in first principles. And when I started reviewing videos of people like Elon Musk, I quickly realized that they keep talking about thinking in first principles. Nearly all trailblazers in all kinds of fields talk about thinking in first principles. I couldn't figure out what it meant, and so I got really curious, and in this video I'll share what is thinking in first principles. I'll give you a super practical example of what it is, the incredible benefits of thinking in this way, and most importantly, how can you and I start applying this concept, this way of thinking to solve our own problems. So what do we mean by first principles? So first principles are the fundamental building blocks of an idea. They are the most basic parts that we know to be true, and from where we build more complex thoughts. It's still sounding a little abstract, right? So let me give you a very simple example. Let's say you made a sandwich for the first time, and you weren't too satisfied with how it tasted, and you want to learn from that experience and make a better sandwich. You could make a sandwich the second time around by hypothesizing that perhaps you could have used a different mayo from a different brand or fresher lettuce, and these would be hypotheses you could use to improve making a sandwich. Or you could apply first principles thinking to improve how you make the sandwich. And this would involve breaking down all of the fundamental components of what goes into a sandwich. So the fundamental components of a sandwich are the bread, the base of the sandwich, filling, the primary ingredients that provide nutrition and texture, condiments, so additions that add flavor, and finally, the assembly of the sandwich. In what order do all of your ingredients go into the sandwich? Does the avocado go on top or right on the bread at the bottom? So those are the four fundamental components of making a sandwich. Once all of the components of the sandwich are understood, we can take a look at improving each one from the simplest to the complex. So if we look at each component and make it better, the totality should be remarkable. And that is the art of first principles thinking. So in our example, let's look at some of the components that I brought up and see if we can question or challenge some assumptions around it in a very simple way. So with the base, I talked about the bread being the base. Well, does it need to be bread? Could it be made with something like a wrap? Usually the filling has meat, whether that's chicken or something else. Well, does it need to be meat? Can it be some kind of a vegetarian patty that tastes like meat? Those are pretty popular today. Condiments. Do we add certain flavors beyond hot sauce, for example? And so once you challenge the assumption around each component, what you're going to get is a much better sandwich rather than generally hypothesizing to make a better sandwich just from general hypothesis. The components are really important to go through. Let's talk about the benefits. That's my point number 2 of thinking in this way. So number 1 is improved problem solving. So if you think about any problem and break it down into its fundamental components, regardless of your field, you will be noticed. You will be noticed as somebody who thinks broadly, as somebody who is holistic in how you solve problems. Number 2 is that it really improves your creativity. So if you know the fundamental building blocks of an idea and the problem that you're trying to solve, it becomes like a puzzle. It's a lot easier to rearrange and start from the scratch and come up with something truly innovative. 3 is that in thinking in first principles, it really forces you to ask why. It really forces you to go deeper with what you're trying to solve. So those are some of the benefits. And my last point is, how do I apply this? How do we apply this in our day-to-day lives to start thinking in first principles, whether as investors or just in our day-to-day work? So the best advice I've heard around this is to start questioning everything. So what I'm doing nowadays is, when I am going about day-to-day in my life, I look at objects and try to question how it was made. So the other day I was looking at the dining table in my house, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what are the fundamental components of a dining table? Now, I'm not a carpenter. It got me thinking of the different parts. There's the main piece on top, then there are the legs, and so on. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please hit the like button so that others can also learn this concept in a very simple way, and I will see you next time.